Steph. We better get to the studio. Hope we can make it. It's pea soup foggy around here.
I know, it's so foggy. No sun at all. The weather is so awful and San Francisco was so gorgeous. What happened? We better get to the studio and do this garden show. But how can anything grow around here?
Welcome, I'm Margarita Cardenas.
And I'm Stephanie Chong. We're back for another segment of Urban Traditions. Today in our studio, we have our expert, Dave Martinez, once again to enlighten us more on the process of composting.
We've had some inquiries on the subject, and he's going to enlighten us and also show us some of benefits of this process.
Besides the demonstration on composting, we also have more of the Urban Traditions Walk, where we find out some of the questions that urbanites have in regards to gardening in the Bay Area.
And our vegetable of the day is squash. We have some interesting tidbits about the subject. And we also went to Dave's garden this time. So welcome, Dave. Hi, how are you?
Hi, thanks again for having me. We had a great time in the garden. Too bad you didn't meet us there, Stephanie.
I know.
You could have met my nice dog, Celia.
I know. I'm sorry I missed it. But it's a pleasure to have you here, Dave. And let's go to his garden and check out the first type of compost, hot composting.
Composting, what I like to do is first shred it. And over here we have some browns and some greens. We have our browns, which is basically this is oak leaves. This is our carbon. I usually mix 2/3 of this into this, and then I mix in greens, which is today we have some fresh Escalonia cuttings. You can use grass or any type of fresh greens. Vegetable cuttings don't really work too well with this because when you put them in the shredder they go everywhere. So basically this is fresh Escalonia cuttings, and I'm going to put this through the shredder and shred it up into little small pieces. Now the biology can attack that organic matter faster and break it down faster. So that's why I like to chip it up. And usually when I chip it up this way, making a hot compost pile, I can have compost within 6 to 8 weeks. So that's why I like to do it this way. Plus also, the other important thing about hot composting is that you want to get the temperatures up over 130 degrees. When you get the temperatures up over 130 degrees, you're killing the bad pathogens, you're killing the bad guys, you're killing weed seeds. Start doing this, we got to make sure we have some safety, protect our eyes, and this thing's noisy, so we want to protect our ears too, and protect our hands. Safety first. So here we are to make some noise. Everyone holding their ears?
Okay.
As you can see, everything is nice and smashed up now with the greens, and we have our browns. You can't really tell what they are, so now the microbes can really work on them a lot faster. So let's go turn a compost pile. It's been cooking for about a week. I got my helper here today, Mr. Kapuni Eric, my old friend from high school. He's now my partner helping me out. He's going to help me turn this compost pile today because it takes a little bit of effort. So as you can see on the thermometer here, we're cooking at about, let's see, we're at about 133, no, 32. about 32. So it's been up at I had it was up to 138 for the last 3 days, and now you can see it's starting to go down because it's down at 132. So now's a good time for it to turn. Usually it stays up at you keep it at that hot temperature for about 3 days, and then you want to turn it. And the whole purpose is that we're cooking this stuff to kill those pathogens in there, and that's why we get it up to 130 degrees. So let's show you how we do this. We take this wire off here. This is my homemade hardwire compost pile. I like using it this way because then I can make the pile as big as I want. The minimum size you want to make a compost pile is 3 feet by 3 feet wide. I like to make it to about 4 or 5 feet. And you don't want to get anything over 5 feet tall, because then, you know, who wants to turn that pile? Plus, it's a lot more stuff to turn. We got buckets. So I do this fancy job here with my wires just to hold everything together, and then I get my old burlaps and I just cover the sides. And this is to help keep the critters out mostly, and help hold in some of the moisture, which doesn't really hold in a lot because it's burlap. So we got plus the burlap on there. Why do you need to hold in moisture? We live in Pacific. Our main method of mixing this compost pile is you got to remember that about this much of it is really hot. That's where the 130 degrees is. On the outside here, it's not as hot. So we want to make sure that we cook everything. So when we turn our pile, everything that's on the outside goes into the center. Everything from the center goes onto the outside. So that way we can cook everything. And so this is the easy way that I like to do it. Is I have some 15-gallon buckets, which are basically something to grow trees in. And I fill those up. The other important, you can see that there's steam coming off of here because it's 130 something degrees. It's really hot. So this goes in the center. And then also while we're turning our compost pile, you can almost see the moisture coming out of my hands, but I can feel there's wetness in here. And that's how you want your compost pile. You don't want it soaking wet, but you want moisture in it at all times. The microbes need that moisture to work. So now we're going to take some of this stuff out of the center here. And as you can see, lots more steam coming out of there. This white stuff that you can see, that's actinobacteria. That's another bacteria that's breaking down this compost pile. And I sure wish it was a cold, foggy day because it's hot in the center. And look at that. You have that snail get in there.
What is that smell?
So, the smell that we smell is the actinobacterias. And when you smell your compost pile, it shouldn't smell bad. It shouldn't smell like ammonia. It shouldn't smell like vomit. It shouldn't smell like urine. Any of those bad smells, those are anaerobic smells. You want to keep your compost pile aerobic, which means that you want air into it. And that's the reason why we're turning it. So, and then the other smell that you smell in it was because the greens that I used on this were celery. So you're getting a little bit of smell of celery happening. And you can see there's a little bit of celery leaf there. But you really can't tell too much of stuff's in here because, like I said, I've chipped it down. Here we have some sweet peas that I was growing, which is really good for your compost pile. So I just took some of the center out. I'll go on the outside. And then while we're doing that, we're going to mix some of the stuff that I stirred up a little bit. And this, what's going to happen is, this is going to make the compost pile get hot again. And, well, it's already hot enough, but I had the stuff, so I'm adding it. It's okay. Compost pile, you can keep adding things. Yeah. It's when it starts getting cooled down is when you want to stop adding stuff, because basically you want your compost pile to finish. So at a certain point we stop putting greens in it and we just let it sit and we turn it. We usually end up turning it about 5 times until it gets to down about it gets to under 100 degrees, and then we let it sit, and that's known as the fungal stage. So we'll throw a little bit more of this in there. A little more of this too, Eric.
Yeah.
We got some hot.
I'm in the middle.
Hot stuff. Can't get enough.
Wow, look at that smoke.
Yeah. Oh, not smoke. Steam.
Steam.
And I wish you could smell it, but it doesn't smell bad. That's the whole important thing. Now, if your compost pile starts to smell bad, that means you have too much bacteria in it. So that means you have to add more carbon, more leaf matter, wood chips, cardboard, newspaper, shred it up and throw it in your compost pile, and that'll help balance it out and get that anaerobic smell out of there. So, most old ladies don't really want to do this kind of work. I tell you what, I'm an old man, I'm getting tired of it, but I'm addicted to composting now. Because you can't, there's no place where you can buy compost as good as you can make it at home. There's just no way. There's no way they can bag this stuff up and keep these microbes alive. Because you're dealing with something that's alive here that's breaking down this organic matter.
I'll take the middle. This is the hot stuff. Just spread it on the outside of that. Turn.
We got some of the coolest piled down a little bit of straw. So it's some more browns. And actually I should have mixed this down a little bit lower, but we're getting it in there. I did. Seen it out because I just gave it a lot of bacteria. I just gave it those greens that I cut up. So I need to balance it by putting some carbon into it. And I like to cover it over, helps keep that moisture in there. Oh! Gotta watch out for that guy. And there's our hot compost pile. If you look over here, I have some compost already finished.
Oh my. I can't believe all that steam.
Oh, Stefan, it smells so nice. It really did smell good.
Well, and that is the important thing, is that it should smell good. Like I said on the video, if it smells bad, it's good. Your compost is going anaerobic, so add some carbon to it.
It's pig composting. Now, this is the lazy man's way to compost. Right, Dave?
I wouldn't say it's the totally laziest man's way, because you still have to dig that hole.
Oh.
That's true.
So let's go to our video now and to pig composting.
Another way that you can compost is called pit composting. Last year I got my post hole digger and I dug a hole right here, about 18 inches deep, at least 18 inches, because you want to have some space down there. And what I did was all my leftover fruit, my apples that I had off my tree that were going rotten, I couldn't feed them all to my worms because it was just too much. So I dug a hole here and buried them in the hole. I chopped up the apples, and actually look at that. You can see. See the front? See, you like that, Celia? This is what happens when you put when you do composting. You get lots of worms. Go, see, move, go, up. But the previous year, I put my pile over here. And one of the best things you can do with your pit composting is plant a tree on it the next year, because those microbes have been there last year breaking down that organic matter. Now they're ready to feed something. Here's my 2 variety plum tree that's really benefiting from the microbes. You can see everything's growing great this year.
well, you're right. It is not the lazy man's way, yes. But, and that tree is looking so gorgeous, and it's only 1 year.
Yes, yeah. The tree loves the pit composting. Like I said, all the microbes break down right in the soil, and you don't have to smell it. The important thing is, I forgot to mention, is that you have to bury that down about 6 inches, because if you don't, then the critters might come dig it up.
So next up is passive composting. Now this is for sure the lazy man's way. Is that true, Dave?
Yes, it's a lot lazier to do the passive composting. You can you can turn it if you want, but you can let it sit, because bottom line, composting happens.
So let's go to our video.
This bin's really easy to turn. I like these biostacks, and we can demonstrate how they work right now. And you can see how the passive pile is working, and like on the top here I have lots of green stuff that I just threw in there, but when we get down to the bottom you'll see the worms working. So you just get this guy and we put it right next to there. There's 3 pieces and they come apart. We pull one, we throw it right into that pile there. And then actually, you know what? We have some really friendly friends in here that are part of our compost pile, which are really important. And so I'll bring these over to the camera, and you see those little white critters. Those are called, and I can't see them that well because I don't have my glasses on, but those are springtails. And the springtails are eating the organic matter, and you can see they're friends with the worms, and they're all working in the compost pile together. And you never know when you can get some garbage in your compost pile, so take that out. So, and I just seen a slug in there, which you always end up having a couple slugs in there, and sometimes you might have ants in this pile too. If you do have ants in your compost pile, turn it more frequently. Ants don't like to be moved all the time. So, and this isn't that much fun with ants in it because they start crawling up your arms. But as you can see in here, the organic matter is breaking down, but you can see what I was composting, and as you can see in the finished compost, you can't tell what it is anymore. It looks like soil, but believe me, there's no soil in here. There's not one bit of soil. The real easy way to do a passive pile is, if you have a big yard, just throw it in the pile. Just throw a pile in the corner of your yard, and the best thing to do is maybe get some branches and put them on the bottom of your pile to help create some air, and then just start throwing your green matter on there. You can leave it, and within a year, in about a year, you'll have some compost. So compost does happen, even if you just let it do its thing. It's really good. I forgot, I threw an old box of fertilizer in there, and look, it's eating that cardboard up.
There's 100 worms for you right there. Huh?
Yeah. And there's ants on the bottom of it too, so they're crawling up my arm.
A lot of biology going on.
Let me take this top off, and we put it right there. And there we go. Then we put our lid on top. And now we're ready to put in whatever else we want. Let's get these ants off of me.
And now we come to my favorite compost, the worm bins. So, Dave, how do we start worm bins?
Well, you can make your own worm bin, excuse me, or you can purchase a worm bin kit, and it comes with a worm bedding, which is a coconut core, and you get some cardboard and some shredded newspaper. You shred both of them up, get it nice and moist, and you put it into your worm bins, and then feed it your kitchen scraps.
Well, let's go to your garden and check out the demonstration.
Our next method of composting is worm composting, and this is enjoyable because you get to have pets. And I like to cover mine with newspaper and help keep the flies out. Today, and of course, you're still going to get a little bit of flies, but what you want to watch out for are those fruit flies. You don't really want those guys. These little black gnats aren't really much of a bother. So, as you can see, we have carrot in there, some peanuts, So today, and look at this, we have some bread, it looked like, or no, those are tortillas. And so you can see these little red guys in here. Those are good guys. Those are mites. And those guys eat down the organic matter too. So today, we actually really don't need to feed this too much, but we're going to show you what we're going to feed today with. Here's my bucket that I usually have out in my back kitchen with my leftover vegetables, kitchen scraps that I feed my worms. Pineapple, rice, noodles. As long as it doesn't have any fats with it, it's just fine to give your worms. Eggshells, really great to give your worms. So what we want to do is make a little hole here and put a few pieces of veggies in here. A little banana, a little rice. Ooh, look at this, yummy. Little pineapple. It's I'd say any kid would love to do this, to get their hands in this dirty stuff. Get a handful. Let's get a good handful of this stuff down here. Oh, here's some apples. There's another good method that I'd like to teach you. Sometimes you end up keeping your kitchen scraps and you don't get to use them too fast. And they start to go anaerobic, which means they start to smell really bad. One way to help cut down on that, and what I do is if you look on the bottom here, you can see I have some straw on the bottom. You can use brown grass, anything that's a carbon, and throw it in the bottom of your compost pile, and it'll help absorb some of that moisture and keep your pile from going anaerobic. Coffee grounds, really great. Cardboard, newspaper are really great. That's their bedding that we give the worms. So this is also good browns. All these filters, worms love those. I mean, I put some in here a couple weeks ago and I don't see any in here anymore, so they must really love them. I'll put a few of them in there because I happen to have 3 other worm bins and I got to share the wealth with everybody. So once I cover them, then I put my newspaper back over, and that helps keep the flies from getting in there. Then also, there's another trick on worm bins is worms don't drink. So the moisture from the fruit and vegetables drains down. So we get that. You can see down here, here's a little spigot that we can let the water out of. And I'm going to attempt to lift this up because they're heavy. And you can see inside here, there's nothing in here right now, but this is usually where the leachate water collects. And that leachate water, if you collect it soon enough before it gets that anaerobic smell, it's a good thing to feed your indoor plants. Getting some of the leachate water and mix it 50% with some regular water, and then feed that to your plants, and your plants will get a little boost from those microbes. It's really good for them. Oh, so we'll put that back on here. Basically what's going on here is I got 3 different bins. This middle bin doesn't have anything. Oh, actually, look at this. We got the gold of gold. The castings are pouring out of the bottom of this thing. And you can see the worms are all falling out. And so I made a little bit of a mess. But that right there is straight up worm castings. That's some of the best stuff you can get. There's nothing else mixed in there. And if my daughter saw me right now holding basically worm poop in my hand, she'd freak out.
That's gold right there.
But yeah, that's gold. I haven't looked underneath there and saw that, but
Look at that. Look at hundreds of them.
that's all castings. So that's all worm poop.
Ew. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, Dave, we have one more way to compost: recology. Now, what do you have to say about recology, Dave?
Well, every Monday at my house, Recology comes by and picks up the green waste bins. And if you don't have time to compost at home, or if you don't have a garden at your home, then put in the green bin. It's best way. Everyone should compost.
Let's go to our video in his garden.
The law is saying that we need to put stop putting our green waste into the landfill. So if you don't compost at home, here's the other really simple way to compost. It's go to Recology. Recology will compost anything for you that's green waste. And usually what I put in here is plants that are diseased or full of insects, things that I can't compost, I give to them because they're cooking at a lot higher temperature and they're cooking a lot of different stuff. So they can break down this organic matter. So it's important to compost. If you don't have a garden, please give your compost to Recology.
So Dave, out of all the types of composts that we've learned so far, which one would you recommend our viewers to do?
Well, I'd say that the passive composting is the easiest one for you because you can turn it once in a while, but you can just leave it there. And like I said, composting happens, but I like the worms.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's time for our urban traditions walking. Our first question is from Monica. Let's take a look.
My challenges would be what type of soil to use for flowers versus herbs. That would be my biggest question. I seem to have trouble in that area.
And you mostly garden in the pots, or you also use the ground?
I have some ground, yes. But with the herbs, I tend to use pots.
Oh, okay. And what do you garden on the soil, in the ground?
Like pansies and, you know, things like
your
that nature.
flowers.
Yes, flowers.
Okay. Do you have more luck with the flowers?
I do, than the herbs. That's why I keep the herbs in the pots. So I was wondering what I was doing wrong, because they don't seem to last.
So what do you think, Dave?
Well, hi, Monica. The soil that you get, that you buy, is a lot of times sterile. And what happens is you need that biology in there. So a good way to get some biology into your planting or your potting soil is to get some compost or get some topsoil and mix it in with your potting soil, and that would help your plants grow a little better.
One more question from Dave Brandt. Let's go see what they have. Do you have any challenges in your hillside because it's rocky?
Mainly with gophers and with the acid from the cypress trees.
So what would your question be for our expert in the studio?
Probably the biggest natural deterrent for the gophers.
So what is it you have for gophers?
Well, I haven't tried it, and I should have because my dad was a barber, but I heard that putting down a human hair down the hole is a good deterrent for them. But I think the best thing to do is to make a gopher cage. You can make it out of aviary wire, or you can buy already made gopher cages and plant right into there. And what happens is the plant can get established. Once the plant's established, then the gophers usually can't eat it.
There's an old wives' tale about squash, that you can't grow squash and cucumbers together because they cross-pollinate and they make some alien-like fruit, which does not look edible. Is that right, Dave? I don't, will that come about?
Well, yeah, I never heard of that, but cucumbers and squash are in the same family. But what I have heard is that if the female flowers before the, because a squash has a male and a female flower, if the female flowers before the male, sometimes the female doesn't get pollinated good enough. Sometimes it'll grow a deformed fruit and it'll usually fall off.
Well, all right, and I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me again.
And thanks everyone for tuning in. Be sure to check us out next month for more of Urban Traditions.
Be sure to befriend us on Facebook. We need those questions. And remember, it's a must to recycle. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
And thank you, Dave and Dig It Landscape and Gardening Services. See you next time. Bye.
You put your feet up.